Hey, I need to do more revision and I'm ugly AF. What's up? It's the Culture Detective here investigating your favorite albums. I really need to get a haircut. But if I get another haircut, my hair may look even worse. I don't know what the hell was my barber doing. I really don't know. Anyways, today I'm going to do another mini albums review, and this is going to be my second last mini albums review before I do the final, ultimate, epic, finale, grandiose, insane, uh, final exam of my life. That is DSE. So, yeah, this is the second last, and I wish that this is the last. But then at the same time, I wanna talk about music. Anyways, starting off, I before I talk about these five albums, I would like to talk about one other album, and that is Kesha's High Road. I listened to this album a couple times, and I thought it's a surprisingly good album. It's not great. I don't think it's an 8. I think it's a 7 out of 10. But still, surprisingly, Kesha has amazing energy on this album. The instrumentals are not the generic mainstream trap, but they're actually quite clappy, fun, party hard, go wild, go crazy kind of beats. And they're punchy, they're colorful. Okay, Kesha's vocals are pretty nice as well, and overall, I think it's a pretty cool album. I may give it a few more listens. It's a 7 out of 10. Thank you. So let's talk about the first album, and that would be Denzel Curry and Kenny Beats Unlocked. Yes, another year, another Denzel Curry album, and this one is small. This album itself is only 17 minutes long, but it's not just a musical project, please. It's also a music video project because this entire album is attached to a 23-minute long multi-parted music video where Kenny Beats and Denzel Curry basically download themselves into Kenny Beats' computer in order to save the leaked songs, and they sort of travel into these different animated worlds, and it's an awesome music video. I'm loving it. But the album itself is not bad. It reminds me a lot of the Mad Villainy collab, but I don't think it's as legendary as the Mad Villainy collab. But still, the beats are way more solid, way more focused, way more concentration on the performances. Denzel Curry drops smart, funny references, one-liners. The track list reads like a season of Mr. Robot episodes because the song titles are like song files. We have track 01, which is basically this intro track. We get this speech sample that is muffled and processed, and then we start to enter the world of Unlocked, where it starts to get glitchy with the warped and compressed instrumentals and the pitched vocals. But it's track 2 where the rapping actually starts aggressively, very, very aggressively. One of the reasons why I think Denzel is one of the best rappers of our time. And yeah, this sounds like a pretty fun, sinister boom bap song with the loud kicks and the pulsating synths. And the second half of the track is sort of this revised version of the first half, except more chopped and screwed and more spacey. And we also have the track lay underscore up dot M4A. Also, the second track is called Take It Back V2. So lay up M4A is also a really solid track. The instrumentals are a little more loose than other tracks on the entire album, and Denzel's flow is in his usual wheelhouse, but still, I really like the melting instrumental tones, and the really funny one-liners are on the track as well. We have the track Pyro, bracket leak 2019, and the beat is pretty simple, and we also get some warped soul choir samples on the track, which reminds me a lot of the latest Kendrick Lamar crop of songs in a good way. And it's still a really good song. My favorite track on the album is, of course, Diet, all caps, underscore. I love the friggin' beat of the track. It hits hard, it's raw, it's clanging, clogging, like a machine. It's really awesome. Denzel Curry's screamy, raspy flows are spectacular, and it seems like he's pulling a lot of influences from rappers like DMX and Old Dirty Bastard. And I also really love the loud bass hits on the track, and overall it's a really fun song. So.Incredible.pkg is another really fantastic track with the funky, smooth, atmospheric instrumentals. And also this song is 3 minutes long, being the longest cut on the entire album. Also the only track that made past 3 minute long. And I also really love the fluffy chompy beat. The chopped up guitars is a really nice touch. Track 07 is more of a Kenny Beats song than it is a Denzel Curry song. There are a lot of drum beats and claps and different samples being chopped and screwed. Of course, Denzel makes an appearance on this track, even though his voice is pitched. And at the end, the song Cosmic, quotation mark, singular quotation mark, cosmic.m4a is a really solid ending to the LP. We get some psychedelic atmospheric boom bap instrumentals and some really fast glitchy synth transitions, and it's again glitchy, it's fun, it's quick, and I think it's a really solid record overall. Nothing all that crazy or wild, but it's just really solid, and I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of feeling a strong 7 to a light 8. Light 8. Favorite track is Diet. Least favorite is track 01. My hands are broken, okay? I spent like 2 hours writing the script. Leave me alone. Second album that I'm going to be talking about is the latest Dan Deacon album, Mystic Familiar. I've been waiting for a while to talk about this album now, and I kept on mistaking this album title to be Mystic Familiarity, but it's Mystic Familiar. And Dan Deacons is a producer, songwriter, and he dabbles and actually is a musical artist of the genre of post-minimalism and Indietronics. So we're in for a pretty special album. So the album starts off with Become and Mountain, and oh my god, what a great track, what a great opener. I love this track. This is one of the best songs of the year so far. It's grand, it's cinematic. It's when I'm listening to the song, it feels like I'm being slowly ascended to heaven, and we get these walls of fluttering bright pianos, and it sounds euphoric, beautiful, gorgeous, almost elegant. And we also get these layered vocals that just gets thicker and thicker and thicker as time moves on, and it's amazing. It sounds like I bet in the year 2021 this song is going to be featured in some random indie A24 movie, and it's going to make a lot of sense. We have the next track, Hypnagogic, which is basically a transitional track over to the third track, Sat by a Tree. I like the sea of ambient synths on this track, but it doesn't really do anything. The third track, Sat by a Tree, is a solid song. We get some cyclic beats that are very busy. The instrumental tones are very harmonic and feel good. The vocals are somewhat goofy in a fun way. We get some rushes of synths and these tapping beats like it's raining all over the place, and it's a really fun song. And then we have 4 songs also called ARP. ARP 1, 2, 3, and 4. Basically one gigantic movement chopped into 4 parts. For ARP 1, we have Wide Eyed, and it is a pretty amazing build-up to the ARP quad tracks. And we get some vocals at the end, which is somewhat humble, but what steals the show on this track are the bleepy, bloopy, squeaky beats. For track 2, Float Away, it's a little more tedious, a little more stagnant. The vocal melodies are a little more idle, and it just feels like a continuation of ARP 1 without any musical change-up. For ARP 3, Far From Shore, it's a way more gratifying song. It has a wild, eccentric saxophone solo at the beginning, and it ends off with this climactic musical explosion with a lot of autotune in a good way. In a way, it reminds me of Daft Punk, except we're talking about some post-minimalist, modernist Indietronics here. For ARP 4, Any Moment, it's basically a cool down, and it's basically sonic disintegration where all the instrumentals, they just break down into different bits and pieces until they all collapse. And I don't know why would this alone be one track, but still, it's not bad. We have the track Weeping Birch, which is a straight up post-minimalist song, given that we get these cyclic strings that are very soft, sort of swims and floats around. And we get this ambient backdrop, which feels like the abyss, the oblivion, and it's a pretty cinematic track. And we have another Indietronic pop song, Fell Into the Ocean, which reminds me a lot of Gorillaz song, especially in the Demon Days / Plastic Beach era Gorillaz, because of the I don't know if it's pitched vocals or is it really kid singing, but there's this callback chorus with a kid, Dan Deacon himself, just singing, answering, and sort of recalling and replying. And it's really fun, really catchy. The melodies are slick. The next song, My Friend, is also really nice, gratifying, and cinematic, even though it feels a little more middle of the road when you compare this track with other tracks on the album. But this album ends off with Bumblebee Crown King, which is a pretty ambitious ending for the album. 7-minute long, very cinematic. We get a sea of buzzy electronics and all sorts of different instrumentals with different tones sort of layering on top, and it's a pretty nice ending to the album overall. So yes, I like this album. I'm feeling an 8 out of 10. My favorite track is Only Become a Mountain, and my least favorite is Hypnagogic, probably, or ARP 2 Float Away. Either one. Okay, third album, here we go. Tricot, Japanese rock band, all-female rock band. Tricot with Makkuro. Makkuro. I don't speak Japanese, leave me alone. But it means pure black. So of course the album cover is pure black. So for the next 5 minutes or so, you're gonna see a black square in my top left corner. For some reason, it's the album cover. Okay, pure black. And I feel like this is going to be one of the most overlooked and underrated albums of the year, because this is a freaking great album. The performances, the vocals, the everything, it's solid. But nobody's talking about it for some reason. Nobody's talking about it. So I'm going to talk about it. The track list is in Japanese, and I don't read Japanese, so but I can read kanji, so that's the thing. But basically these are translations according to iTunes and some people on Reddit. So we have the first track, The Danger of Not Mixing. I wonder if it's the right translation. I know that there's the word danger and the word mixing in here. Anyways, it's a 1.5 minute blast of an opening, at least for the instrumentals, because we get a very thick bass, some blaring lead guitars, but the vocals are very cute and humble, and it's a really warm and sweet opening, in my opinion. But it's the second track where I really fall in love with this album, Right Brain, Left Brain, and damn, this is a great song. The vocals are jazzy, they're slick, they're full of personality, and I love the guitars in the back, very crispy and crunchy, and they just sort of they sort of grind in the back like a machine, like a very well-oiled machine, and it just fits the vocals really well. and overall it's a really fun and cute song. I really love the oh and the third track, Afureru is a more dreamy and euphoric song. What I really like, even though I'm not a huge fan of Asian music in general, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, but one thing that I like about Asian music is that they always, usually for their songs, they sound somewhat dreamy and nostalgic to a degree, and it's very obvious on this track. The vocals are more laid back and they're beautiful as well. The fourth track, Watch, is a slower song, a slower moment on the album. In my opinion, I do like the instrumentals. I think it's okay. The vocal melodies remind me a lot of those old school vintage blues jazz songs, except it's a more updated Japanese rock version of it. It's an okay song, not really all that interesting. Okay, I'm gonna turn on the air conditioning because it's getting hot here. We have the track Himitsu, which the meaning should be secret, but I don't know if this is actually the right way to write the word secret in Japanese, but to me, it looks like a play on words. It's like a secret, but at the same time, it also means honey. So it's like a play on words. It has a double meaning. But I don't know if it's just me or if it's really how you write the word secret in Japanese. But anyways, given the track name, I thought this is going to be a really interesting track, but not really. I do really like the flashy performances, the crunchy guitars, but still the vocal melodies, the chord progressions are a little middle of the road. But the pace is picked back up on the next track, Teisoku Douro, and it basically means low speed highway. So actually low way, because it's in the highway you drive in high speed, but low way, which is pretty nice. It has a really quiet opening, ASMR-esque, warm, dreamy instrumentals. I also really like the rhythmic change of the guitars on the track. And then we have the track Junpunmanpan, which means smooth sailing, and it's a pretty fun and youthful song. We get some clanging guitars, snappy percussion, and the chorus is solid. We also have the track Naka, which means middle, and I like the stuttery guitars on this track. The vocals are solid, the instrumentals are mid-paced. I do wish that there is more variety and progression worked onto the track, but I still enjoy it a lot. And then we have One Season, which is a more quiet song, less ambitious, but the second half is built up to a louder sound. But still, the song is okay. I think it's kind of by the numbers. And we have an even quieter and slower song called Abu Naku Naku Machie. I can't. Abu Naku Naku Machie. And in English, it basically means not going to a non-dangerous town. Given how quiet this track sounds, it almost sounds like a ballad in the beginning, and the chord progressions are just okay on this track. And then up next we have the track Pure White, which is this small transitional track to the last track, also the title track, Pure Black, Makkuro. And it's a pretty solid song. It's a really, really solid song, really cohesive, and it sounds like a goodbye song. Perfect as the ending for the album. I really friggin' enjoy the falsetto vocals on this track in particular. It sounds like a bird. But still, overall, I think this album is solid. There are some slow moments, dud moments, but still, I'm enjoying it. I'm feeling an 8 on this thing. And my favorite track here is Right Brain, Left Brain, and my least favorite is probably Abu Naku Naku Machie. So there's that. Alright, fourth album. I'm going to be talking about the latest Meghan Trainor album, Treat Myself. Yes, I did the Selena Gomez album review, the Halsey album review. It's like I'm hitting every single mainstream pop artist album review I can ever do, and yeah, I'm not gonna miss out on this one. But I wish I had, because surprisingly, uh, this album is not bad. It's not that bad. It's not as bad as I've expected. It's, of course, the Selena Gomez album and the Halsey albums, they're both boring and generic and mainstream. But this one is not. It's very much not. I mean, there isn't much in terms of versatility and diversity on the album, but still, the instrumentals are punchy, they're colorful, they're fun. The vocals are more wild and expressive, and there are a couple of songs here that I actually enjoy, but only a couple, because for most of the tracks on the album, the chord progressions and the performances still fall flat, and the worst thing about this album is the very awkward transitions between the quiet moments and the loud moments. It's just this warped, awkward thing. It's very unnecessary. We have the album opener Waves, which is the prime example of that weird, awkward transition. The verses are okay. It's slow, it's quiet, it's humble, it feels grand and emotional at the same time. We get some choir vocals in the back, and as it's about to build up to the chorus, it just warps itself to this malformed thing, and it's so anticlimactic. We have the second track, Nice to Meet Ya, featuring Nicki Minaj, and it's a pretty soulless, annoying song. The instrumentals are dry, and Nicki Minaj's performances are incompatible with Meghan Trainor's performances. The track Funk is a little annoying. It's a pretty dumb funk song. The way Meghan Trainor's vocals are being chopped up on the track is kind of lazy and kind of obnoxious as well. And then we have a batch of tracks: Baby Girl, Ashes, Working on It, After You, and all these songs are basically ballads, and they're pretty lifeless, and they don't sound necessarily generic or mainstream, but still they fall flat. The chord progressions are not really all that special or anything. The track Here to Say is also a pretty quiet song, a minimalist R&B song with nothing special to offer. And Blink is one of the more annoying songs on the album. The instrumentals are washed out. They are very forgettable as well. And I guess in a song that is equally as unlikable is the track Genetics, which is basically Meghan Trainor's attempt in a club dance song, a sexy party dance song. And the performances are cringy. Oh, look at that bod. Is it from God? Tracks like Another Opinion and No Excuses are pretty similar tracks. The instrumentals are dry. They're punchy but dry and kind of drab. But the album ending is actually pretty enjoyable. It's called Have You Now, and it reminds me a lot of Ariana Grande's latest music. It's a ballad with a trap beat, yes, but it's actually a very nice ballad in that it doesn't just fall flat immediately. Neither does it try super hard to be emotional. It's just a pretty humble ballad. My favorite track on the album is, of course, Evil Twin, which has a really light synth beat. The instrumentals are pretty nice. They're not necessarily overshadowing her vocals, but not really that non-existent either. The verses and the choruses are both very solid, and overall the song is very summery and fun and catchy, and yeah, but still, I mean, I'm kind of half and half on this album. It's not that great, neither is it that bad, so it's just kind of in the middle. 5 out of 10. Favorite track here is Evil Twin. Least favorite is probably Genetics. Yes. Last album on the agenda, we have the latest Lil Wayne album, Funeral, famed rapper Lil Wayne. He's back. And I have reviewed the Carter 5 a couple years ago, I think. And I thought it's an okay album. There are a couple of good songs on that album, but still overall it's kind of bloated, a little unfocused, which Funeral. It is no surprise that this album is just as bloated, just as unfocused, just as generic, and even more so than the Carter 5. 24 tracks, 1 hour and 16 minutes in duration. Most of the tracks here, I think 80% of the tracks on the album are basically generic trap rap songs with no soul, no originality, nothing innovative. The performances are just okay, by the numbers, middle of the road, We have tracks like I Do It, featuring Big Sean and Lil Baby, and both of them give very uncompelling performances. I mean, Lil Wayne's performances isn't really that great here. And we have the track Wild Dogs, which is just like I Do It, a generic trap rap song with some really awkward strings slapped on top for some reason. And the very generic mainstream trap rap songs also include Know You Know, featuring 2 Chainz, and 2 Chainz has a lot of potential as a rapper. He raps well, except he doesn't on this track. And also, Lil Wayne decided to do this little auto-tune singing solo at the end, which doesn't fit the tone of the song at all. The track Harden is not really about James Harden, but is about a relationship falling apart. The vocals on Lil Wayne's singing verses sounds like he's just phoning it in. It's not very good. The track Sights and Silencers is the worst song on the album, easily, because it's so uneventful and so forgettable. It sounds like a cheap, tacky, awkward, stiff slow jam. The track Bastard, bracket Satan's Kid, is also pretty generic and awkward. Lil Wayne tries to rap in his deep voice, but it doesn't really work all that well. And he also does his, staccato flows. But then again, it's not in Lil Wayne's usual wheelhouse. He doesn't own this sound quite as much, so it just falls flat. Clap For Him is basically an ass-shaking club trap song with no soul. Line 'Em Up is another trap rap generic song. I think Lil Uzi is on this track, but it's not listed as a feature. But I heard an ad-lib saying Uzi, and it's annoying. The song itself is annoying, not Lil Uzi Vert. Uzi Vert is a treasure. He's a treasure, okay? I Don't Sleep is a pretty regular trap rap song, and Takeoff contributes little to nothing to the track. We have the track Get Out of My Head, featuring XXXTentacion. And it's like Lil Wayne dabbling into edgy rap music, but since this is not in his usual wheelhouse, it ends up sounding cringy and awkward, and he tries to sound very edgy, but seriously, the lyrics aren't really all that edgy. The track Stop Playing With Me sounds more like a Drake song than a Lil Wayne song, and the instrumentals, I don't know what's wrong with the instrumentals, but this song is the equivalent to a photo taken by a camera, except the exposure is too high, so it's really white and bright. And we have the track Not Me, which is basically this really repetitive, moody trap rap song. The track Dark Side is incredibly bland. The track Nevermind has some annoying auto-tune singing, also very generic. And just as generic would be the last song on the album, Wayne's World, which is a very bland song and a very anticlimactic one at that. We have the song Trust Nobody featuring Adam Levine of Maroon 5 fame. And, it's like one of those Eminem pop rap songs. It's terrible. The beat is cheap. The hook is crap. We have shitty lyrics about self-doubt, which doesn't really dive all that deep into that topic. The feature vocals by Adam Levine is boring, and I don't like this track at all. Piano Trap is a song where the first half sounds generic, but the second half actually sounds better. The pianos are brighter, and the way the pianos and the trap beats are incorporated is pretty nice. The title track, the opening track on the album, is pretty boring, even though we have lyrics talking about mortality. Again, it's not explored deep enough, and the autotune, reverby autotune, is a little annoying. We have the track Ball Hard, which sounds more like a Black Boy JB track than a Lil Wayne track, and the track T.O. The instrumentals are raw, they are blanky, bleepy, bloopy. Not really all that spectacular, but I do like the embellishments, and the shouty flows by the guest feature is amazing. And we have 4 songs that I like. Starting off, we have Mahogany, the second track on the album. The beat is pretty sharp. It has some smoky soul vocal samples. The flows are energetic, and Lil Wayne actually spits some fiery rhymes. Also very fiery would be the track Mamma Mia, which is a trap banger with a fiery beat with some wretched strings. Reminds me a lot of the Denzel Curry and Slow Tie song Psycho. The track Dreams is an emotional trap rap song, kind of reminds me of one of the more powerful ballads off of Kanye's 808s and Heartbreaks, and it has some good chord progressions. It doesn't fall flat. And we also have the track Bing James featuring J Rock with his very gruff vocal features, which is amazing, but I love the melting beats on this track the most. It just melts down, and it's very creative. But still, overall, I think the album is bloated, it's unfocused, it's messy, and a bulk of the tracks on the album just doesn't work out for me, as they are mostly generic and mainstream. 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10. My favorite track here is Mahogany. Actually, Dreams. I like Dreams. My least favorite is Sights and Silencers. So, have you listened to these albums from 1 to 10? How much you rate them? Like if you like them, hate if you hate them, and subscribe if you want more. And thanks for watching. I will be reviewing the latest HMLTD, the latest BTS, the latest, you name it, Loathe, Destroyer, Makaya McCraven, King Cruel, and that's it for my album reviews.